Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Today's a big topic, and a lot of pet parents are probably interested in this, and you probably are too if you're joining me live. Let me know in the comments if you're currently using a supplement for your dogs, for your cats, and also let me know, have you been wondering, does this really work? Could I potentially be creating more harm with the type of supplement? That's what we're going to be talking about today. And if you're joining me live on Instagram, welcome. I do have a presentation, so you can always watch the replay or head over to my YouTube channel, Dr. Katie Woodley, the Natural Pet Doctor, to see the slides that you'll hear me talk about so you can put it all together. So for everyone joining, welcome. I'm excited for you to be here. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, holistic integrative veterinarian and founder of the Natural Pet Doctor. And pet supplements, unfortunately, are another area, just like the pet food industry, that are highly, highly unregulated. Can I get an amen to that, right? And who here knew that? Let me know if there's like a thumbs up, you're like, yes, I unfortunately knew that, or if this is something new to you, because a lot of pet parents and even my veterinary colleagues aren't aware of this. Now, here's my disclaimer. Some of the supplements that I'm going to show you, I actually prescribed as a veterinarian to my patients before I knew better. So here's the thing, and why these are so important, and being here and learning from my other holistic integrative colleagues, why that's important is so that you can learn and grow, so you can implement that information, and then we can do better. We're all on this journey together. We all come from a place and hopefully are going to knowledge and empowerment and confidence with what we're doing for ourselves and our pets. And supplements is a big area, and it can be a big area where you're spending a lot of money and potentially getting limited results. Now, in my practice, I work with a lot of pets that experience gut health and skin issues. And so they're using a lot of supplements to try to mitigate the itchiness, the ear infections, the diarrhea, the vomiting with their dogs and their cats. Who here's currently in that boat? And what I find over and over again is that a lot of times those supplements have hidden ingredients or fillers or other things going on that aren't helping you get the results that you need to help improve your pet's quality of life and fix them. So this is something we're going to go through. This is not going to be like comprehensive covering everything, because that literally could probably be a month's talks worth. But I want to give you some key things that you can do to ask your vet, to ask the pet supplement companies that you're using, and most importantly, tools for you to use at home when you're assessing, is this supplement really the best way I should spend my money, or maybe I should look for a different brand? So can I get a thumbs up from everyone, and let me know in the comments if you're on YouTube, if this is exciting and you're ready to learn a little bit more on this week's Coffee Talk with the Doc. So what I'm going to do, once again, on Instagram, you're not going to see this presentation. It is on my YouTube channel, Dr. Katie Woodley, the Natural Pet Doctor, but I'm going to be talking through it, so you can always watch it afterwards because there is a replay. And thank you. I see you guys, Dan and Rhonda and Lisa. It's really, really great to see you here. And I appreciate Serena, Nosley. So good to see you guys. So let's dive into this. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is covering an overview of really, are your pet supplements safe? What you need to be aware of, so that way we can make the best choices possible. Because I hate hearing you have supplement graveyards, and I hate hearing how much money you end up spending. And I've been there too. So don't worry, I've been there. And then I learned all these things. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to spread the information. And that's part of the reason why we do these weekly coffee talks with the doc. So let's get started with this. So give me, if you're following along on YouTube, let me know in Facebook if you can see that presentation. Just drop a let's go in the comments. And we're going to get started with some of the key ways that you can assess whether or not the supplements you're using for your pet are safe. So drop those in there. Let me know you see that. And then we will get going. Awesome. All right, let's go. Thank you, Lisa. All right, so let's talk about, where do we need to start? Supplement quality. Now, I mentioned at the start, this is awesome, Freddie. I see you. This is not a well-regulated industry. Now, there's a few key things to be aware of that I'm going to talk about that's creating more regulations. But we need to be aware and empowered as a pet parent to be able to identify those red flags. Now, when we're looking at supplement quality concerns, there's a few key things that we want to look at. Now, I want to talk about some of the recent quality and safety concerns. And a lot of this data comes from the human supplement industry, which is much more regulated than the pet industry. So keep that in mind. But this is where accurate labeling and contaminants, we've had a lot of recent issues. And one of the journals of American Medical Association, they actually tested 30 immune health products sold on Amazon. Who here uses Amazon to purchase their supplements? I know I have, and sometimes it can be our only choice. So I understand some of the limitations, but these are things to be aware of. So that way, if you have other options of purchasing these things, really, really, really important. And so this is where 17 out of 30 products had inaccurate labels, 13 out of 30 products were misbranded, 9 out of 30 products contained additional ingredients not on the label. So this is things where this has been, I believe, a few years now where ephedra, which is like a stimulant and a drug, was found in a lot of weight loss supplements for humans. We do not want that. If you have a heart condition or something else where you should not be taking that drug or medication, right? You don't want that in your supplements. Unfortunately, the same things can happen in our pet products, the supplements, and even herbal products. So when I talk about like Chinese herbal medicine, all of these principles also apply and are key factors for when I'm choosing who I use when I'm making recommendations for brands for Chinese herbal medicine and other pet supplements. Now, I'm not just making it up, but Amazon, unfortunately, there's a lot of issues there. Now, this is where we think if we're buying from the brand itself, unfortunately, it's not necessarily making it cheaper because they're negotiating an MSRP price, and then a lot of times they're raising that. So there's this myth floating around that Amazon is cheaper. But my biggest concern is that there are a lot of counterfeit brands. I saw a recent post with doTERRA essential oils where the FDA confiscated a bunch of counterfeit essential oils, and the products looked exactly the same. These people know what they're doing, but it is not the same thing that's in that product. So this is really, really important because this could cause a lot of health issues for your pets. It can kill them depending on what's in there. So we need to be aware of that and shop safely, shop smartly, and just be aware like Amazon, yes, it's so like quick and easy and it's nice. We have like 1 hour delivery now with some places, but sometimes we need to look for other sourcing options. Don't worry, I'm going to give you an option that I use and that I know, like, and trust from my experience, but also too, if we can buy directly from the brands themselves, there's a lot of the principles we're going to be talking about that will be better. They will be better, the quality and the control that goes into that. So very, very important. Now, what's really important is when we talk about the 4 stages to supplement quality. Now, this is what human supplement brands should be following. Once again, human supplements are much more regulated than the pet food and supplement industry. But we want to think about essentially what is happening from like seed to the actual supplement when we get it. And there's 4 stages where we have the sourcing. So where are we getting those ingredients? Are those Chinese herbs coming from China? Now, that's not always a bad thing. What were the climate, the quality, the conditions? Where did it come from, right? Is it a synthetic? Like if we're thinking about essential oils, for example, is it synthetic or is it, an artificial fragrance that can create a lot of problems? We also want to look at the manufacturing. How was this made? What type of facility was it made in? This is a big thing for like the pet food industry where it's not made in a human grade facility. And this is where there's like examples and reports of like tens of thousands of like cockroaches in a pet food plant. And yes, that was one of the big brands that happened, Mars specifically. And it's like, holy smokes. Like there's not the standards because it doesn't have to meet human grade, human food. Pet food is not food, it is feed. It is labeled as feed and has different requirements. Unfortunately, supplements fall into the same categories. So these are things that we want to know. How is it made? What are those conditions? Testing. This is where certificate of analysis are very, very important. We want to know, are they testing for heavy metals and things like that? I'm going to go a little bit more into that. And then distribution. For example, I don't mean to be dissing on Amazon so bad, but they're really bad at this. Most of their warehouses are not temperature controlled. So think about it. If you have a warehouse, for example, let's say we've got a lot down I-25 in Colorado here that they're building, it gets really hot in the summertime here. That's going to be really hot in there. And those supplements are going to be, they're going to experience those temperature conditions. Okay, so what does that do for those supplements? It can degrade them, it can make those active products inactive. So we want to be thinking about these 4 stages. What is happening from like the seed all the way to when we actually get it into our hands? And then even then afterwards, like how long does that last? Is it still even beneficial at that point? These are all key components that we need to be aware of. So when we talk about manufacturing supplements, we want to be looking for companies that are using and following the current good manufacturing practices. So we call these CGMPs. This does not apply to pets, unfortunately. This is the human supplement recommendations, but there are good quality pet supplement companies doing this. So keep that in mind. We want to support these people that are doing this. This is really important to keeping your pets safe and also to getting the results that you want. We also want to see, do they have quality assurance programs in place where they are testing for heavy metals, microbial contaminants? You don't want to be feeding or giving a probiotic that has a bunch of really bad pathogens or bacteria overgrowth because it wasn't processed appropriately or distributed appropriately. We also want to look for, are the companies testing for pesticides, herbicides? Unfortunately, everything is like sprayed with Roundup nowadays. So we're looking for, are they testing for that? Very, very important. The solvents, if we're extracting herbs, other things from that seed, right, from that plant, and sometimes we need to use solvents to extract that. CBD products are notorious for this. Are we testing for residual solvents left over that then can create health issues and lots of inflammation, inhibit our pets, especially like the gut? Think about, this is going directly into the gut. So if we don't know what's in that supplement, because it won't be on the label, we need to rely on those companies testing to keep our pets safe. And then, of course, the pharmaceuticals. So are we testing and making sure that there's not other ingredients that are slipping into that? So for example, probiotics is like one of the most commonly used. I appreciate everyone sharing what supplements they use for their pets. And one of the polls I did on our Instagram and Facebook is really insightful. So many people are using probiotics. Unfortunately, a lot of the probiotics on the market have misidentified bacterial strains, species. They might include non-viable, so they're actually not alive. They don't do anything. They're dead strains. They could have pathogenic bacteria in it. So if they're not testing, how would we know that, right? And then 2, the distribution. Think about your pet's gut is nice and warm. It's going to activate those probiotics. They like that warmth. But what else is warm? The distribution center where it's sitting and it's cooking over summer, and then it's cooking in the van that's being delivered to you. So we want to make sure we know about this like seed to product process. Really, really important. And then testing. So going back to this, FDA requires companies to conduct identity testing, but the companies, this is the human side. So think about, okay, human is like here, regulations, we're down here with the pets. But human companies can choose the standards and have zero obligation to make the standards public. So you don't even know what standards they're following, right? And this is where third-party certification for pets and for people is really, really important. These are third parties that are completely independent of that company that come in and they audit, they inspect, they verify ingredient sourcing, product manufacturing standards, distribution channels, and labeling. So this picture here that you'll see, this is like the USDA organic label, the non-GMO project verified. If you're certifying like gluten-free, if you're looking for humane standards too, for concerns over how those animals are handled also, this is what we want to see because they're conducting third-party testing. And then of course the distribution. So you want to be thinking about like, how is it packaged? Are they preventing spoilage? Is there moisture getting in? How are they preserving that product? Because that's going to tell you, how long does this last? By the time I get it, it could be months and months since it was actually produced. The labeling, organic, non-organic ingredients, are they actually separated? So we could get organic ingredients in, and then we're combining it with non-organic, and great, we just went out the window with potentially things like glyphosate and Roundup contaminating. Really, really important. Now, in terms of also to storage, so the temperatures, I touched on that already, the transportation for it to come to you, the documentation, also to think about, is it coming directly from the company? Or is it going from the company to the Amazon warehouse? It's sitting there for months and months, and then you purchase it, right? And then documentation. Are there actually records and dating of like their standard operating procedures? A lot of companies have zero SOPs, not a good thing. Now, back in 2001, there was the National Animal Supplement Council. So NASC was created. And so keep in mind, this is like super like the Wild West out there with pet supplements. There are no regulations or anything like that. So this is where I think it's Bill Books came in and was like, I need to create more regulation. This is not okay. This is not safe. And attempted to create more regulation for these pet supplement companies. Now, here's the thing. So they have standards where they have to pass independent third-party audits every 2 years. They have a labeling requirement. They're talking about like, we need your SOPs, quality control, production procedures. They do random product testing. They review the ingredients from their database. And so here's the thing. They don't evaluate the efficacy of the products. So yes, this is better than nothing, but I don't want you to go and buy an NASC product without taking into account all the other things that we are talking about, because there are NASC labeled products that I would never use. And I'm going to show you some of those today. So keep that in mind. Yes, this is good. Yes, it is needed. There can be flaws with the system, just like anything. It is one part of analyzing your pet's supplements and the questions that you should be acting. Really, really important. Now, these are some of the questions that you want to ask the companies. So this is where picking up the phone, calling customer service, sending an email. If companies are dodging you or giving you shady answers, run. That should not be the case if they are proud of how they do things. They should be very transparent. And if they're like, wow, we don't actually do that, but thank you for asking that question, I will take that back to my CEO and see if we can implement that. Like that is what we want to hear. And we need to hold these companies accountable to level up. Our pets are alive animals. They're not dead beings, and they are our family members. We want them to live forever. This is really, really important that we do this and we hold companies accountable. Does everyone agree with that? Like drop a yes if you agree, like it is time to hold pet food companies and pet supplement companies accountable. Give me a yes, a hell yes, if you are really excited about this, because I'm really passionate about this. It's not okay. We've had too many recalls and too many pets' lives lost, or we're creating inflammation and keeping you stuck going back and forth to the vet clinic for the same health conditions because you just didn't know, and that's not fair to you. So how long has the company been in business? Not always there's a lot of really new companies that I absolutely love. Like on the pet food side, for example, Viva Raw, they're amazing. They're so transparent. They're fantastic. And I love them. They haven't been in business that long, and that's okay. But it's important to ask that question. And just because a company's been in business for a really long time, like Purina, doesn't mean you should always trust them, just FYI. So it's a question to ask. Who formulated the product? What is their background? This is really important. Are they actually like a nutritionist, or are they just someone that just took recipes offline and threw stuff together, and they're just like excited and passionate, but actually have no knowledge around how to formulate a supplement that's actually beneficial and therapeutic for your pet, right? Where are the ingredients sourced? This is really, really important. Also, are the ingredients human grade edible? So if you are seeing any type of human food, or it looks like human food, I'm going to show you an example of that coming up. This is where Nosley, right? We shouldn't trust Purina. I'm not saying never trust them. They can level up if we ask them to level up, right? And we need to ask those hard questions and also be aware of other things, because just because it sounds nice doesn't mean it's nice. But asking, are the ingredients human grade edible? If you see it on the website, but it is not listed on the actual supplement ingredient list label, they could be lying to you. Isn't that exciting? So it makes it a little bit harder this is why it's so important to understand these little nuances that can have a huge impact for your pet's quality of life and what you're purchasing. Asking them, do you have a certificate of analysis that you can send to me for the supplement and product? I want to see a current certificate of analysis. Fantastic if you did it 10 years ago when you started because you knew people would be asking you that. Are you doing it on the batches that you are creating? Are you doing it consistently and routinely? I want to see dates on that. Thank you. Because then I will trust what you are doing. Very, very important. And also, too, are you doing a certificate of analysis from a third party that is independent of your company? Really, really important, right? We want independent, not internal testing, because you can make up all sorts of things that you want to, and I don't trust you. So that is what is really, really important. And also, too, how are they manufacturing the product? Really, really important. So this is something that we need to ask these questions of ourselves. If you're not sure, you can't answer them from the website information, from the information they're giving you, give them a call or send them an email. If they give you very vague information or they try to finagle their way out of that question and take you down some random rabbit hole that's not actually directly answering that, don't give them your money. Okay, let's go through some examples to showcase where this is actually happening. Now, I'm going to share, here we go, just to make it a bit bigger. So this is where cheaper is not better. Does everyone agree? A lot of times cheaper does not equal quality. Now, quality supplements and foods don't always mean quality either. Keep that in mind. I hear it all the time. I'm feeding the most expensive pet food. And I'm like, great. I don't really care about that. I want to see what are the ingredients, what brand you're using, all the questions that I just asked. I want to be able to answer and then I assess. There's so much garbage out there that so many people are wasting money on because they just don't know. And my veterinary colleagues don't know because we weren't taught this in vet school. So this is where, okay, this is a really common brand. Who here has maybe purchased this or seen this in the supermarket, in the pharmacy, in your health food store? Anyone seen this brand? And I'm not here. This is all open-ended, by the way. I'm going through what we just talked about to show you where there's pros and cons. So that way you can turn the label around on your supplement and assess it. Keep that in mind. So I'm not here to bash companies. I'm here to show you how to assess them. Really, really important. So this is a really, really common fish oil. I probably have used this in the past, I imagine. I know my family has. Here's the thing. Fish oil is one of the probiotics, fish oil. Those are really, really common supplements in the human and the pet world. Now, fish oil, we need to know, okay, omega-3s, it's an omega-3 essential fatty acid. It helps reduce inflammation. It helps support cell membrane. It helps support brain health and aging and all these great things. But how do we know if this is a good quality product? Now, this is just an ingredient list. So what I want to know, because there are therapeutic dosages for omega-3s for your pets, depending on what we're treating. We typically use higher dosages if we have inflammation, if we have skin disease. Those dosages can change also if we're dealing with gut health issues, if we have cancer. So I need to know how to calculate that out from the milligrams per kilogram. That is the dosage. And I can take your pet's body weight, calculate the amount of milligrams we need per day to hit those therapeutic levels so we actually get the results that we're looking for. Now, the problem with a lot of these products, now for everyone on Instagram, this is on my YouTube. So you can go back, watch the recording. You can jump over there, Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor. I have a presentation. So don't worry, this is all being recorded. We have to see the amounts of EPA and DHA. Does anyone see that under fish oil on this brand? What I see are little asterisks. So I see EPA, great, asterisk, 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 DHA, asterisk, 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 and then there's fish oil, 1,200 milligrams. That sucks. That's not okay. I can't actually calculate for you how much to give your pet or yourself with this. The other things too that you'd want to be looking at is, are there certificate of analysis? Where are they sourcing this from too, especially with fish in our polluted oceans? So this is really, really important. I'm not seeing any of this I could go to their website. I didn't, to see if their certificate of analysis, looking for testing, solvents, heavy metals, contaminants that are in there. Really, really important for fish oil. So keep that in mind. And then this is where, so this is a brand, and a lot of people here are probably using Adored Beast. And these are things that I'm looking at. Once again, I'm not here to bash companies or say 100% these are who you should use. I'm taking just a blank slate on all of that. So I'm not going to tell you what to use. I want you to be able to assess the products. So this is an algae oil. Algae oil, we need to know the EPA and DHA. Otherwise, we're relying on our pets to convert, and they don't convert this very well into the omega-3s that are actually utilizable by the body. Now, I also put their certificate of analysis that is on their website up. The things that concern me with this is where I'd want to reach out to the company and ask, is they've blocked out all the information. This is the exact what it looks like on the website. I don't know what date it was done. I would like to know, is this a third party? So those are things that I would be looking for. This is an Adored Beast potency omega-3 for everyone watching on Instagram. So this is where I would definitely be wanting to know, like, what is that information so I can assess. They also didn't make it very clear the different types of omega-3s, the DHA and EPA. Now, full transparency, I use this and recommend it a lot for my patients. So doing this exercise was very interesting for me too. So this is where constantly assessing, and then we can reach out and ask those questions to the company. And I don't know why they would block it. It's interesting. I think it's a great question to ask. I would trust this company to be transparent about it, but a good question to ask. But I thought that was interesting. So just a few thoughts there with your omega-3s. Make sure there's a certificate of analysis. Make sure they're breaking down your omega-3s into your EPA and your DHA. So you can actually work out the therapeutic dosage. Really, really important. And once again, Mama Bear, exactly, I want to know the dates of the testing. Just because you did it 10 years ago when you started your company tells me nothing about your quality control now. Now, probiotics. Oh, this is my favorite area. Oh my God. Okay, so who here has either used, has seen this, maybe has been recommended ProViable. This is the ProViable product. Now, this is a very well-known probiotic. And what I did, I'm going to actually do this so you can see the ingredient list, because I was covering it up with my screen. For everyone on Instagram, this is once again on YouTube, Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor. So yes, Nosley, I recommended this to a lot of patients. And it looks great, right? We've got specific strains, like we're even breaking it down to like 30183 Enterococcus. That's great. That's really, really good. It says on the front of the box contains a minimum of 5 billion CFUs. Are they doing testing? They probably are. It's from Nutramax. Asking, do you have a certificate of analysis? Can you guarantee like the live viable units, the CFUs, colony forming units? That would be something that I'd be looking at also. And then when we look at the ingredient list, this is where I got some big issues here that I didn't even know about as a vet when I was prescribing or recommending this. It's not technically a prescription. You can get this, but I want you to notice the last ingredient. It is really, really small, but it's titanium dioxide. This is why we need to be looking at, there's also maltodextrin in here, and maltodextrin can irritate guts. So if you're like, oh, why are we using this? The most times it's prescribed is for GI irritation and upset. So if we're putting a product in that then is like aggravating what we're trying to fix, it doesn't work very well. Do you guys get what I'm putting down? Do you guys agree? I'm going to just take a sip of water. This is why reading the labels. Now, here's the thing. I went to Chewy because I was like, a lot of my people are going to Chewy and ordering products. I had to search to find, oh, that's not good. All right, Instagram just shut down. That's okay. You guys are still here with me on our normal platform. So here's the thing. I went to Chewy to look for the information. And what I found was that a lot of times the ingredient lists weren't very clear or very hard to read. Just on like the pictures that scroll across, who else here uses Chewy, right? So this is where Not a bad thing. We just have to be aware. And also to the distribution would be something I'd be thinking about. To be honest, I have not asked the question, does Chewy have temperature controlled and regulated facilities or warehouses? That would be a really key question to ask, especially if you're getting your products from them. So this is where maltodextrin, we have titanium dioxide. These are huge problems. Why is that a problem, you might ask? Maltodextrin, just look it up. So we don't want to create more GI issues and have problems there. Now, this is in terms of titanium dioxide, it is banned in the European Union. Now, I just put one article here because Skittles had titanium dioxide in it. It is the whitener for sunscreen. Why would I want to ingest that? It is a known DNA alterant. It changes DNA. It mutates it. Fascinating. I probably don't want that in me. So there, a lot of times too, keep in mind, everything we're talking about can be applied to your pet's food also. So canned food, a lot of times will also use titanium dioxide for the coloring. Not a good thing. We don't want that, right? I don't want that in my pets. So X. Next time you hear this, just say, no, thank you. I'm good. I'll use the probiotics I already have, is what I would say. All right. Next one that's really, really common. This is where, who here's heard of Fortiflora? Anyone use this product? There's Fortiflora for dogs and there's Fortiflora for cats too. I've used this. I have recommended it for my patients. Here's something that's sneaky because I was like, I wonder if they changed their formulation. So this is really, really key. And I think they might have changed it a little bit too, because previous ones included an ingredient that I'm going to talk about that's a rendered product. But this is where I look at the active ingredients and I'm like, Enterococcus. There's a lot of great research when I look on PubMed about how it can help kitties with stress colitis. It can help modulate the immune system and the microbiome. And then I'm like, okay, inactive ingredients. This is where liver, flavor, and yeast. There's not much in here, right? But then I went further and I clicked on the ingredient list. This is on Chewy. And look at, fascinating, like inactive ingredients. So are there more active ingredients, or why are you not being transparent with us, Purina? So there's liver flavor. We have our probiotic product. And then we have tons of synthetic vitamins and minerals. And here's the thing. This is the crazy thing. I want you to, this is where, okay, it looks like, I don't know what that means. So I just did a search because I was like, I didn't know off the top of my head what sodium selenate, the adverse side effects. I knew there's probably some. There's usually MSDS sheets for every single ingredient. And you can search this and look it up online, just hazardous like materials sheet, right? It's kind of concerning. And so whenever you see this, just do a search. Now, what people will say to you, I guarantee we may see some of this in the comments, and that's okay. I value that. But a lot of times the feedback you will receive in my experience is, oh, well, the dosage isn't high enough. And I'm like, but sodium selenate can affect you when you breathe it in, when you absorb it through the skin, it can irritate the skin and the eyes. It also, high exposure can cause headache, nausea, vomiting, a metallic taste. Repeated exposure can cause pallor, nervousness, and mood changes, and then it can damage the liver, kidneys, and affect the heart. I I hear this all the time with glyphosate and Roundup, like, oh, it doesn't cause harm. It's just a little bit. And I'm like, okay, then if it's okay, why don't you drink a teaspoon of it every single day for the rest of your life and let me know how that turns out? Little bit of toxin adds up over time. And I talk about this a lot with the pillars of health and how when we build up all these toxins and we're not clearing them and we're constantly putting stressors and resistance against our body's ability to heal, that's when it breaks. That's where you go from a pet that looks completely healthy one day and the next day they're not. And you go, what happened? They were healthy. This is what happens. This is why this is so important. And this is just two of those ingredients. The other concern I have is they just list vitamin E supplement. Well, great. There's different forms of these supplements. Is this a synthetic vitamin E? I would probably put my entire, everything I own down on that statement. It's probably a synthetic vitamin E. They should be listing it as D-tocopherol or DL-tocopherol. They are not being transparent with you as the consumer. So keep that in mind. Go to the ingredient list, have a read. If you're like, I don't know what any of that is, just do a search. I literally did it this morning. This is what I found. Very easy to do. Every single person can do this. Very important for keeping your pets safe and also healing them. Now, probiotics. Okay, let me make my screen bigger. This is where the probiotics, this is Ferapets. So this is a brand that is, I wouldn't say necessarily newer, but I want you to look at, it's hard to see kind of the labels, right? And this is from the Chewy website. These are the pictures that were there that I just screenshotted so you could see them. But what I like is I went down, I looked at ingredients. I also too, on that third picture, so on the far right, you can see all of the certification labels. We've got USDA organic. We've got gluten-free. We have the NASC label. Remember, that's not the end all be all. You need to be assessing other factors. We've got GMP. We hardly see that on pet supplement company products. That's awesome. Made in USA. Okay, that's fine. That means it's manufactured in the USA. Where are you sourcing? So remember, we still have to ask all those questions that we talked about. Where are the ingredients coming from? But what I really like about this is when I look at the ingredient list, we have organic products, even the inulin, which is the prebiotic. And then we have your different types of probiotics. I believe it also has the colony forming units. I can't see that on here. But then also too, I don't see any other fillers like the previous two probiotics that are usually sold at like a regular veterinarian office and are recommended. So I'm like, great, this is a great option for pets who are sensitive or experiencing gut health issues or allergy issues. So this would give me like the check. I would like this, the check. So, and definitely looking at, okay, long-term help. Now, here's this great question or comment, cost prohibitive, but would absolutely use fecal capsules. If your pet needs fecal capsules, this is where testing is really important. For maintenance, once you get to a healthy microbiome, this is where rotating different types of probiotics. So this isn't where I'm not saying give this over and over and over again, but it can be really helpful for you, which is important. Now, we have another brand. This is Zesty Paws, which is really well-known brand. Who here uses this or has heard of this? These are their Allerimmune bites. I think it's a newer one. But I wanted to look at it and look at the ingredient list. And my concern are the dosing and possible sourcing issues. Now, this is not, when I look at the ingredient list, I apologize, it's a little bit small. It might be a little bit small on your screen, but we see proprietary immune support blend. Now, it doesn't mean that they're always trying to hide things, but for me, I'm kind of like, well, how many milligrams of each of those are in there? Because we have astragalus, we have quercetin, we have vitamin C, we have L-arginine, bromelain. Well, what dosages? And this is where dose matters because we need therapeutic levels. And a lot of times pet parents are doing their best and giving these supplements and following like, okay, for 26 to 75 pounds, I give 2 chews, but we're not actually reaching a therapeutic dose of the quercetin to have the antihistamine properties. So there's a time and a place for pet supplements. I use a lot of hyperallergenic human supplements because of the dosing and because a lot of additional things are added in. Once again, fish oil. I want you to notice, what are we missing here? If you notice what we're missing here, type it in the chat when we talked about the fish oil brands and the good versus bad that we want to be looking for. I'm not seeing EPA and DHA, just fish oil. What is that? What does that mean? So I can't dose appropriately. I don't know if your pet is getting the therapeutic levels. This is a waste of money in my eyes. It doesn't tell me what I need. And also too, all of the inactive ingredients, and a lot of times this comes with like the bites or the chews. There's a lot of fillers and ingredients. And if I'm using this for an allergic pet, I want hypoallergenic stuff. I don't want all the fillers. There are other ways to get supplements into your pet to help heal them and support them without potentially aggravating their immune system. So keep that in mind. We don't know where they're sourcing from either. I didn't see any certificate of analysis. I know this company has been sued in the past for not having what they said was actually in there. So these are all things that you can search and see on the internet and important before you purchase, because marketing is incredibly influential and persuasive and it can feel good, but is it actually really good is the question we want to ask. Yes, I know Nosley, the multivitamin gave Pookie tear marks. Okay, this one, I found this one. I hadn't heard of it. And I was like, oh, this looks really good. It's from my favorite brand. That was sarcasm for everyone. Now, once again, This is where we can always do better. And when we ask for better, companies are forced, or they can be forced if they want to stay in business, to start doing better. This is why I think Purina put this out. Doesn't it look nice on that packaging? Who here looks at this? It looks great, right? It's like, oh, we've got a pumpkin and some like fresh foods. Oh, the brand, the name Everroot sounds really good. Multi-benefit. There's pumpkin and spirulina. That soft chew looks like really good. So what I did, right? We need to go through because I was like, maybe we're turning a corner, right? Like this could be great. And so I looked at the ingredient list. I had to scroll all the way down, and I was like, okay, how much? And is it organic? Where are you sourcing it from? None of that information. This is literally on the right-hand side is spirulina, and it might be on the label on the actual product. I don't have the product. I'm not going to waste my money on it, to be honest. I don't know what type of vitamin E, once again. I don't want non-organic stuff. And then we have other ingredients, liver flavor. Okay. Natural flavor, that's usually a rendered product. Rendered products come from 4D meats, dead, diseased, discarded, dying, disabled, I believe, are the 4Ds. Foods that are not meant or safe for human consumption. We do not want to use them. So this would be something that I would be asking, are you using human grade ingredients? Because these vegetables or these products could potentially be discarded, rotten vegetables. It could be discarded from the supermarket. And they're like, hey, great, let's use the waste. And then we get that. I could be completely wrong. These are questions we need to ask. It is NASC certified. So once again, I don't always just buy off of that. We need to know more. And yes, the fish is traceably sourced. Great. We can trace it back. That's one step in the right direction. So this is how I assess these. Really, really important. Now, I use a lot of standard process. I have been out to their farm. I have seen their organic farms, how they produce, how they test. I've been through their manufacturing facilities. I know, like, and trust them from my experience. It's not for every pet, but I like that they use whole food ingredients and glandulars. So I like their enteric support for gut health issues. I like their immune support for gut health issues and allergy issues. I see a lot of positive results, but I still have to go back through those steps that I'm talking about. This is really, really important that we're still assessing, and we continuously assess because companies can be bought out and sold. Now, to summarize everything, once again, this is just a general overview. I know it's not going into all the products and brands that you're recommending, but I want you to be able to follow these principles, because understanding the ingredients and being able to read or be able to know where to find the information about those ingredients is so important for protecting your pet, getting the results that you're looking for, and not wasting money or creating more harm for your pets. Marketing will get you into trouble. Yes, marketing is important so brands get seen and grow and all of that. Of course, that's a part of business. But unfortunately, especially in the pet food and pet supplement industry, when we're so unregulated, the marketing is what draws you in and gets you to buy it and feel really good about what you're feeding. This is where we didn't talk about some of the other things that would be looking at are, what are the dyes that are being used? Are you seeing like red dyes and other things like that? If the food or the supplement looks a different color, is that a natural coloring from like spirulina that's naturally green? Or did we add a red food dye so you feel good feeding that? It's like, oh, I'm like giving real food to my pets. Keep that in mind. They know how to market. This is what they pay. This is what they put their money towards, especially a lot of these big companies that are producing a lot of these brands. You need to keep companies honest by asking questions. So there's that list of questions you can go back to. Don't worry, you can watch it as many times. You can screenshot it. Go back to that. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. Ask your vet those questions. I wish I had known this back then, because now I'm like, God, I feel so bad that I used that for my own pets and that I recommended it for clients. I just didn't know better. And so this is really important to ask your veterinarian to get them to start thinking about these things, so then they can go, wait, is there a better product I can use, versus just assuming that what these companies are telling me has my patient's best interest at heart. Dosing does matter. And this is where if you are using supplements that have a ton of different ingredients in them, especially if it's in a treat or chewable form, you're probably not getting the therapeutic dosage that you truly need to help get the results and symptom resolution for your pets. Sourcing matters, ingredients matters, and do your research. Now, this is not for everyone to just go and do this. I just want to be super transparent. I like this company. I've used them for years now. I buy my supplements from them and it's full script. And I also offer 10% off of the orders. Now, what I'd recommend, even if you're outside this country and you're like, well, I can't get those shipped to me, this is where you can go there. You can look at the treatment plan recommendations, the brands I recommend, and you can make your own assessment and then try to source them from the companies themselves if you can't use full script. The reason why I like full script is because they do a lot of internal testing and auditing of the brands they bring in, and they will not bring a brand in that is not following the CGMP, that is not doing third-party auditing and testing, that is not declaring any potential allergens or other things in them. They are a human-grade professional supplement warehouse, and they know how the product is distributed, how it's manufactured, all of those seed to product in your hand methods. They ship really fast. They'll put things on ice. This is why it's important to use companies that you know, like, and trust. This is one example of many. And I just wanted to share that with you so that way you have a resource after this so you can continue to learn more. If you're like, wow, that was really overwhelming, now I'm like scared, don't worry. This is just part of the journey and the learning process. Make sure you also get our simple guide to improving a pet food. You can go to the website, thenaturalpetdoctor.com, and make sure you're on our newsletter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page if you're not already. So that way you can get notified whenever we go live or share more information. It's all about continuing to learn and grow, and that is how we improve and avoid potentially the mistakes. I call them lessons from the past, so that we can do the best and be the best pet parent possible to help our pets thrive naturally and live their longest, most beneficial, happiest lives possible. So I appreciate every single one of you for being here, taking time out of your busy day. I don't take that for granted, and I appreciate you wanting to learn more and do the best that you can. If you need more information, I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the Natural Pet Doctor. Go to our website, thenaturalpetdoctor.com. And if you can do me one small favor today, please share this information with one other pet parent or your veterinarian so that we can help spread the knowledge, the education, and share this with other people so that we can all together be part of the movement that's so needed to help our pets live their best lives. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Let me know what questions you have. Drop them in the comments. I will be going through that through the weekend, answering as many as I can. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Take care.